Yeah, welcome back. As you've seen, the Honorable Philip Agbese joins us this morning. He's a deputy spokesman and deputy chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so several figures making the rounds about the budgets, especially the ones from the budget office as they publish, and some of the items several people are looking at or talking about. For instance, the president and the vice president to spend 5.128 billion. But before it comes to that, give us an understanding of how the House, where you are, is approaching this budget scrutiny.
Well, thank you very much. Let me start my opening statement with what the Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency Tajuddin Abbas, said to the President when he presented this document before us. If you recall, he said that the 2024 budget must meet the yearnings and aspirations of the common citizens of our country, that the budget must address critical national issues encapsulated in our legislative agenda, the issues of good governance, tackling the security challenges across the country, addressing deficit in infrastructural development as far as the Nigeria is concerned, addressing our health challenges. And a day after that, after we received the document, the House resolved and passed it to the Committee on Appropriation. And then you also recall the chairman of the Committee on Appropriation, Right Honorable Abubakar Bichi, after the committee received the document to do justice to it. And he said, this budget is the Nigerian people's budget. This is coming from the House. And why did he make that statement? Because we have gone through the document and seen clearly that, yes, the president has presented something before us that will meet, the demands and challenges of the 360 federal constituencies across the country. So for that, the Nigerian people, for the very first time, I think they have every reason to be excited.
With this budget?
Yes, with this budget.
Oh, okay. All right, talk us through some of this, because, since you must have gone through, you said they have reasons to be excited. For instance, when they see that the president and the VP will spend 5.128 billion naira for foodstuff, miscellaneous honorarium, refreshments, and repair of fixed assets, as well as acquisition of computer software, and the president will spend 7.630 billion naira for foreign trips, the breakdown will be 6.992 billion naira for international travels and 638.535 million naira for domestic travel. Villa headquarters will spend 6.484 billion naira for international and local travels. They'll buy vehicles for State House, operating vehicles for about 4 billion. And then they'll replace some SUVs for 2 billion. So that's if the House approves this budget. Is this part of what, how are people supposed to be excited about some of these kind of things?
Yes, the Novetin, the 10th National Assembly House of Representatives, has done for the first time in the history of our country. After receiving this document, we held the first budget town hall debate in partnership with international donor agencies and civil society organizations. We invited the media, civil society, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, and we all came together and again represented the document to the Nigerian people. And after that was done, the feedback we got at that town hall, the budget town hall, it goes a long way to show that, yes, beyond the figures around the presidency, because you see, as a people, I believe that this is a new era. And we as young people, we must move from the things that are not very important. We should not allow those things to take the center stage of national discourse.
This was not important?
Yes, they are important. We are going to go into that. I will talk about those issues as well. But again, after this document was presented to us, and after the town hall, which the House of Representatives has carried out, and I think other public engagement that we're going to have with the people, we have commenced the issue of budget defense. Recall that last week, the House of Representatives took the budget through first and second reading. And now we are now dealing with, the agencies, the MDAs, who are now coming to explain these figures to us. Of course, the issues you have raised are some of the issues that our relevant committees in the National Assembly are equally going to ask. But I would like us to, look at those areas where debates have been held. We have interrogated some of those issues. A good example, the Committee on Works. They commenced immediately after this document was circulated. And they've invited the actors, in that sector. And they've come to say, to show us, like we all know, the problems, we're having around road construction, the issue of concrete roads, asphalt, and what we need to do to address, deficit in infrastructure. And we have asked questions. What do you intend to do? The construction of Kaduna, Kaduna, Kano Express Road, the one in Lagos, and all these roads across the country. So we have looked at it and said, does this road, infrastructure that the president intends to provide for Nigeria, does it cut across the 6 geopolitical zones? And we have identified that that is the essence of representing our people, to ensure that, whatever figure that you have goes round, right?
So that is understandable.
Yes.
But what is it that you say are the things that are not important? What do you mean by that?
I've not said the things that are not important. I said the very, very critical issues. You see, for instance, the running of the State House is also very important. But for us as elected representative of the people, and, the way the masses have, the way we have proclaimed our gospel to the people as the people's house, for us in the 10th Assembly, our concern, majorly is about critical infrastructure, development in the educational sector. How many hospitals, is the government going to build with these figures? These are the questions we'll be asking. What are we doing? And that's why I said, since we commenced the sectorial debate, with the MDAs on the budget, we are, taking it one step after the other. Okay. Remember that we promised, meticulous scrutiny of this document.
Yeah, but you know that it will be no taxpayer, no citizen wants to see a government that will tell you to, look, austerity measures, this pain is temporary, adjust yourself, the subsidy is gone, people are feeling the pinch, and then you go through some document to see 10.1 billion allocated for an office or an agency, an office of one of the offices in the villa, for instance, to buy computer software.
You see,
those kind of things, they'll raise questions.
No. You see, and that is exactly why they have elected us into the parliament. One, like we promised earlier, to scrutinize this document meticulously. Remember that even some days back, why did I come here with this document? This is volume 1 of the budget. You recall that, some person said the president presented to the National Assembly an empty box, right? And today we have this. This is volume 2 of the document, and we have the soft copies distributed by the Committee on Appropriation, particularly of the House of Representatives.
So the media can keep this one then. Thank you.
Yes. This is a gift for you, so you can have it. And this is volume 3, of this same budget document. So you see, as elected representative of the people, we are not out, to promote or support any government personality who wants to indulge in wasteful spending of the people's resources, particularly at a time that we are talking about, hardship across the country. But again, for government to be able to function, the things that they have written there, remember what happened, right, during the supplementary budget debate. In the wisdom of the House Committee on Appropriation under the leadership of Agbese, you recall that there was a certain provision for yacht in one of the agencies' budget. What did we do to that? As a parliament committed to the welfare of the masses, we took that out and instead suggested to the president, right, that money should be committed into the student loan, which is to commence January 2024.
So what happened at the end of the day?
So,
to the yacht?
To the yacht. At the moment,
what happened.
Yeah, they may need a yacht, right? But we as a parliament at the moment, it is not our priority for now. The student loan is more of a priority to us than.
Wasn't that because there was an outcry from the public that no, this is unacceptable?
No, the patriotic People's Parliament, the House of Representatives was the first to spot that. A lot that Nigerians have not seen about this document. And we're, at the cost of scrutinizing the document, we're already, pinpointing them. We're bringing them out.
Which one example?
No, you see, this is still committee stage, right? When the various committees bring them before the House, at that time, as a spokesperson of the House, I'll be in a better position. Because you see, some of these issues are also still being regularized between the committees and the MDAs. So they're looking at them.
Let me ask this question. When you see these figures, I mean, what you have there, you see a figure, for instance, like President and Vice to spend 5.128 billion on foodstuff, miscellaneous, honorarium, refreshment, and repair of fixed assets, as well as acquisition of computer software, 5.128 billion. When you see that as a people's parliament,
yes,
would you be scrutinizing to say what kind of foodstuff? Are they locally made? Are they local foodstuff or are they imported foodstuff?
Yes.
Are those the things you'd be looking at?
Yes, definitely. You see, any true elected representative of the people, especially for, those of us under the leadership of His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, and people who are focused on welfareism, people who are focused on the survivor of the ordinary Nigerian citizen, you would definitely be interested in that figure. But I have said that beyond the figure, right, when we go into committee scrutiny of that figure, we'll report back to the Nigerian people and we'll be able to advise Mr. President and say, this figure is not right. And if the figure is right, but you see, beyond that, what is the body language of the current president? How is he, faring? What is his level of commitment? So when you talk about the figures for foreign trips, we have seen a president who, has been transversing the globe, traveling everywhere, meeting with investors. We saw what happened in India when he visited the visit to France, right? We had this issue between Nigeria, the diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates. He traveled to India. He flew into Dubai. So if what has been proposed in that budget, like we're going to be looking at in the next few days, is for this kind of diplomatic shuttles.
Since you brought up this matter of travels, you know that there's already the outcry of the number of people that the government had to sponsor to COP28. And that's also a budgeting situation. That's a lot of money that's gone into sponsoring the people that went for COP28. Now, that also would add to, what the president is doing, traveling.
For COP28, right?
Let's not focus on COP28. You talked about the budget for travel, and what we've seen here for foreign trips, 7.630 billion naira. That's what's budgeted for 2024. And you're talking about the fact that the president's travels around the world are looking good. There's a task ahead, and the president is focused on delivering, ensuring there's attraction of foreign direct investment and all of that. So he's having these meetings, good trips. But the question then is, how many people are going on this trip? Why are they going on these trips with the president? How much is being spent per trip? Does the budgeting office know the specific trips and how many people will be on these trips to even begin to look at how to cut down? Does the National Assembly have an idea of who and who are going to be on this trip and the purpose of the trips to be able to say, okay, Mr. President, this one you're budgeting 7.6 billion, we need to cut it down to 3-point-something billion?
Definitely. That is exactly what we're going to be doing to that budget. And like I mentioned earlier, you see, we have concerned ourselves more about the figures around the president's trips. Now, are we not concerned, about the proposal for development in the educational sector? We realize that even the educational budget has been raised by about 1 trillion naira. In what happened in 2023 and 2024 as a people's parliament. These are some of our priorities, to look at what is government ready to spend, on education. And this spending on education, what areas, are the funds going to be, applied? Then we now come back again and talk about the issue of workers' welfare. What have they done? Does this document? And when Abubakar Bichi, the chairman of operations, suggested, that this is the people's document, we have looked at the document, to see that the government has made a very beautiful proposal in terms of figures, on what to be done to our workers. And again, as a serious nation, remember that since 2010, this word palliative, has crept into our lexicon on daily basis. Everywhere you hear palliative, palliative. A serious nation should not live on palliative. And we see a budget, as a parliament, a budget that is going to take Nigeria, from a country of palliatives, to a country where every, citizen is able to, take care of his family, his or her family, and a country where things are done in the normal way. Because this intervention of palliative is only in an abnormal situation, a situation of war, or natural disasters, where people have not planned for the occurrences that you talk about, palliative, something to cushion temporary measures. So Nigeria, as a serious nation and as the giant of Africa, we should move from this issue of palliative. And for the first time, we are seeing a budget, for the very first time in the history of our country. And for those of us who have been around, just a decade or two, we are seeing a government that is seriously minded, to transmit the country from this palliative to a country of seriousness. So we are now looking at what is government, in what way has this document, intend to address the challenges, the deficit in the health sector. So we want to see, and a serious-minded parliament. You will recall that when we came on board June 2023 as a parliament, after our inauguration, we have instituted probes into some of the activities of government in the last 10 years. And I'm sure because we did some of these probes, even 15 years, that's why nobody has been able to say, oh, you are witch-hunting the past government. And you can see the unity of purpose in the parliament, particularly the House of Representatives, who've been very coordinated in all our activities, demonstrating a collective spirit to nationhood and national development. So with that, we have asked questions. And so you believe that a parliament that came on board and has been able to ask questions as to what happened in the past, to also be more interested in the things that will happen in its own lifetime. And that's why, for us as a parliament, beyond this document, we are going to ensure that we have strict oversight, so that when this budget in itself is passed and is to be implemented, we ensure that every single kobo, so even if they have budgeted 10 billion naira or 20 billion naira for spendings within the presidential villa and all of that, we can assure Nigerians that no single dime, no single kobo of that money can be spent in a way of manner that Nigerians will not be happy with us.
Well, Honorable Agbese, the question would be how strict your oversight will be over this budget. Let's just go over some of them again. Villa mechanical electrical maintenance. What's proposed is a whopping 9 billion naira. Villa honorarium, 365.8 million naira. There's villa computers and repairs, 980 million naira. And some are asking, and I'm asking on their behalf, is that, when there was the hue and cry over the planned purchase of 160 million naira each for a lawmaker for the purchase of vehicles, nothing came out of it. As a matter of fact, there are reports that members have begun to take delivery of those vehicles. So the question is, will this not go down as a reward for the delivery of vehicles for National Assembly members?
Well, thank you very much for that question. You see, for some time we have been able to, we have gone over the debate on the issue of the vehicle, even though the media has not been able to address the figure around the cost of the vehicle. I thought by now, the Nigerian media would be able to, tell us exactly the cost of those vehicles. But we have said it over and again. In the House of Representatives, nobody received any vehicle worth 160 million naira. But back to the very important question that she has asked, how strict are we going to be in terms of oversighting to ensure that every single kobo in this document counts? And what have we done in that line? In the wisdom of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, we have set up 139 standing committees in the House of Representatives. Why did we do that? To ensure effective oversight, of agencies, ministries, and parastatals of government that will be saddled with the responsibility of, implementing the budget for 2024 and beyond. And in doing that, we have gone further again. You know, like the issue of vehicle, we need these work tools, vehicles, and other essential items to support our activities beyond sitting down in a parliament. If you look at it, Nigerians have cause to agree, you know, most recently, because we've seen debates, that this parliament is truly committed to the welfare of the Nigerian people. And we have done that. In the last 5 or 6 months, with all the scrutinies that we have carried out, you know, MDAs, you recall, we have helped the government to recover money from corporate organizations, you know, back to the Industrial Training Fund. We have addressed issues around the tertiary education fund, you know, where even some of the funds belonging to TED Fund is being held by the Central Bank of Nigeria. They say they took a loan from TED Fund. And we say, no, this money belongs to our children, the future of the next generation. And we have been able to impress it on the government to return the money back to TED Fund so that they can spend the money to build schools, develop our higher institutions for the benefit of our citizens. So as a parliament that is truly devoted and committed to the masses' well-being, I want to assure Nigerians that every single item in the budget, by the special grace of God, we are going to account for it.
But Honorable Agbese, despite your assurances, you know, these figures have a way of finding their way back into the budget in every budget cycle. I recall under the last administration, hundreds of millions of naira was budgeted for kitchen utensils. So it seems as if these keeps coming back. Would the House, the National Assembly as a whole, be recommending to the RMAFC, you know, to set a template for the budgeting of this miscellaneous for the villa, you know, such that we don't have this whopping figures allotted to this insignificance in the future? Because it took a long time before Labour and the federal government agreed on additional wage award to Labour, which is well under, you know, what should be in line with the current realities of the increase in the price of pump of fuel.
Thank you very much. You are very, very correct, and I want to agree with you. You know, the difference between this current parliament, we and other parliaments in the past, we are building on areas where, you know, the immediate past assembly, you know, made tremendous gains. And again, we are equally looking at how things can be done differently from how they were done in the past. So in doing that, we are also going to set a template, you know, for some of these things. That is one of our major functions as a parliament, lawmaking. And we have promised the Nigerian people that we are going to use the instrument of lawmaking, you know, to address some of these issues. And while we promise, you know, scrutiny, meticulous scrutiny of the budget document, and our various committees are already working on that. One is to ensure that there will be no duplication of projects as far as the 2024 budget is concerned. We have had courses in the past where, even as a civil society activist, we saw where, you know, agencies will duplicate some of the projects and money will be budgeted for these things. And we are telling Nigerians that with the 10th National Assembly, it is not going to be business as usual. Okay. We are going to make sure that we don't just do things differently, but the things that will be done differently will have positive impact on the welfare of the people. You know,
it's gladdening to know, I mean, when you say a number of things that you have said only raises one question. If it's not going to be business as usual, have we asked questions about how the previous budget performed? It's a concern because, for instance, maybe I should ask you, is there a process of measuring the budget performance of the previous year before this one is passed? I mean, you said that the MDAs, you're still going to be asking them questions. Is there a process of measuring how they performed before you give them another allocation to do whatever else?
Yes, we have said this before, and that is why we see ourselves as a parliament in partnership and collaboration with the executive. We've maintained a very robust and cordial relationship, you know, as regards some of these issues. And again, we have seen when we invited heads of MDAs to appear before some of our investigative committees that are looking into some of the issues, not just with 2023 budget, but even beyond. And you see, yesterday, you know, the Parliament summoned the CEO of NNPC, and some stakeholders, in the oil and gas industry. We are looking beyond even how they performed. What about the revenue leakages that we've had in the past? So a serious parliament, should look into some of these issues. And we have commenced asking questions. But, not spending so much time looking at what has happened in the past again. Because Mr. Speaker, His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas has promised Nigerians that this parliament is going to be focused. So as part of that focus is to ensure, that what has come before us today is the 2024 appropriation bill. And in dealing with the 2024 appropriation bill, we must have the interests of the Nigerian people at heart. And in doing that, we must look at critical issues that will address, the problems that we are being faced with today as a nation. So going forward, from January 2024, we want to ensure that every single naira, like I mentioned earlier, every single kobo in this budget is used in the overall interest of the people. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing as a parliament. We're going to make sure, that as part of our collaborative effort and partnership with the executive, they maintain, regular checks. We commence the issue of sectoral debate in the House of Representatives, inviting, heads of agencies to come and interact with us. We intend to sustain this ongoing debate on a monthly basis. Every month we are going to have heads of critical national agencies, before the parliament to interface with us. How are you going? So we don't have to wait for another 360 days when it's time for another budget debate before we ask questions. These questions should be an ongoing thing on daily basis, on weekly basis, and on monthly basis.
Asking the presidency how much they spent when they traveled to this last COP28? Who went where?
Most definitely. That is the People's Parliament. We've done that in the past. We have a committee, the Committee on Special Duties. The Committee on Special Duties supervises the State House. So definitely questions will be asked.
Who's going to be answering those questions?
We have the powers conferred on us as a parliament by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to invite any individual, anybody, no matter how highly placed. So where necessary, just like the president was invited, the president came to make the budget presentation. If necessary, if there is any need, we invite the president. If there's any need, we invite the permanent secretary who is in charge of the State House services. We invite every individual. As far as you interact, with the taxpayers' money, we have the powers.
So what punitive measures exist in this kind of scenario in case someone misused funds?
First, we have a duty to recommend to Mr. President, first the removal of such an individual from office, and two, recommendation to anti-graft agency for possible prosecution. Like you see, this parliament, it's a different parliament. Apart from the vibrancy that Nigerians have seen in us and the commitment and devotion, to duties that they have seen in us, we have also demonstrated to be a parliament that, is promoting the issue of transparency and accountability. You saw that in our legislative agenda unveiled by His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. And that was why when some persons, said, even members of the National Assembly, said the House has considered a document, an empty box. And I said, how come? One of our colleagues who has always been absent from session made that careless statement. And we said, when you spend the whole time sleeping, how would you know what is going on? When you don't take time to read, how would you know? Another one from Bauchi also, a highly respected member of the parliament, made another careless statement again and said, we have considered an empty document, or it's a shame we're not looking at what we have passed. And I said, Haba, distinguished senator, have you forgotten, the practice and the parliamentary procedures in the consideration of this document? Will a budget document go through committee before first and second reading? That we have done. And again, see, Nigerians must also know that some of the persons, I'm not saying that there's any dishonorable member of the parliament, but you see, certain individuals, because of their background and because of their antecedents, people who are in the same committee have every reason to be scared of showing them some of these documents. Some elected representatives in this country, all they require before they can steal money is just to look at the document. And before you know, the money is gone.
Well, there will be many scenarios to look through, especially the figures as people study them. So they'll raise questions, but we'll look to see how you say the House will approach some of these matters and take the issues that people have raised very seriously. In the meantime, we do thank you for coming on. Honorable Philip Agbese is the Deputy Spokesperson and Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs.
Thank you so much.
We're back in a moment. Stay on with us.